dear friend of Justice International Criminal Court everywhere in the world. Latest development on the ICC proceeding on the situation in the State of Israel. State of Israel issues controversial decision on same day as arrest warrant. The State of Israel argues that the proper remedy is to reverse the challenge decision and issue an order stating that 1. Israel has legal standing to challenge the jurisdiction of the court under Article 19, Paragraph 2, Section 2 Rome Statute, including before the issuance of the arrest warrant. 2. Israel challenge to jurisdiction shall be returned to the pretrial chamber for consideration on its substantive. And 3. The two arrest warrants against Israel citizens, which were erroneously issued by the pretrial chamber, shall be declared null and void. In challenge decision, the pretrial chamber decided as follows. It is application Israel submitted inter alia that in its letter of 8 April 2021, Israel asserted the notification was not specific enough and that it repeated this assertion in its letter of 26 April 2021. Israel did not indicate what the consequences of its objection were, but to the extent that Israel intended to argue that the notification was incomplete and thus could not serve as a notification under Article 18(1) of the statute. His argument failed. On the basis of the material before it, the pretrial chamber found that the prosecution had complied with its legal obligation when it provided the notification to Israel and the other states. As explained by the Appeal Chamber, a notification under Article 18(1) of the statute must contain information that is relevant for the purposes of Article 18, Paragraph 2 of the statute, namely, the general parameter of the situation in sufficient detail regarding the group or category of individual associated with the relevant criminality, including the pattern and form of criminality, which the prosecutor intended to investigate. The chamber specifically noted that the notice included the types of alleged crimes, the alleged perpetrators, the relevant starting point and time frames, as well as reference to further relevant information, including a summary of the finding of the prosecutor preliminary examination. The notice was therefore sufficiently specific. The pretrial chamber also made the following determination. The chamber further noticed that under Article 18(2) of the statute, a state may notify the court that it is investigating or has investigated its national or other person within its jurisdiction in connection with criminal act that may constitute a crime as referred to in Article 5 and with relation to the information provided in the notification to the statute provided by the prosecution under Article 18(1) of the statute within 1 month of receipt of the notification. Given this, the statutory deadline passed in April 2021 without Israel requesting a stay under Article 18(2) of the statute. On 3 March, the public prosecutor announced the commencement of an investigation into the situation in Palestine. in relation to crimes within the jurisdiction of the court alleged to have been committed in the said situation since 13 June 2024 and 20 May 2024, the public prosecutor announced publicly that the whole apply for arrest warrant inter alia against Israel citizens for the alleged responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in the territory of the state Palestine in Gaza Strip since at least 8 October 2023. On 23 September 2024, the state of Israel hereinafter. Israel filed a challenge to the jurisdiction of the court before Pretrial Chamber 1 hereinafter. Pretrial Chamber under Article 19(2) of the statute hereinafter challenge. Israel argues that the precondition for the court jurisdiction have not been met because sovereignty over the West Bank and Gaza Strip remain unclear, and there is no territory of a state in the sense of the Rome Statute over which the court can exercise its jurisdiction. IS the Junior Professional Officer Program respond the appeal for or stay shall be dismissed because it does not show any error that materially affected the pretrial chamber, that the challenge to the jurisdiction of the State of Israel is premature. I further argue that nothing in the challenge decision deprives a person or entity of the right under Article 19 to file a challenge or stay. No, the cases in this situation have been identified, and on November 2024, the pretrial chamber issued the decision dismissing Israel challenge to Article 19 to hereinafter the challenge decision. On November 27, 2024, Israel filed its notice of appeal against the challenge decision hereinafter. Notice of appeal. Israel also requested a stay of effect pending resolution of the appeal by the appeal chamber and pursuant to Article 18(2)(3) of the statute and Rule 156(5) of the Rule of Procedure and Evidence. Hereinafter, the rule of the to arrest warrant issued following the challenge decision by the pretrial chamber and of any other alleged exercise of jurisdiction by the court. On the same day, Israel filed a request for leave to appeal the challenge decision pursuant to Article 18(1)(d) of the statute before the pretrial chamber. On 29 November 2024, the prosecutor filed a request to dismiss Israel appeal in limine. However, the filing of the application at this time, namely after the prosecution announced that it had filed an application for an arrest warrant and 3 years after the statutory time limit, appear to be contrary to the aims and objectives of the statutory complementarity framework. The purpose of the Article 18(2) process is to allow admissibility challenge releasing its complementarity to be raised at an early stage of an investigation and not at a time when the investigation has made substantial progress. If a state is given the opportunity to assert its right to exercise jurisdiction but refuses, file, or neglects to do so, the investigation may proceed within 1 month of receipt of such notification, a state may notify the court that it is investigating or has investigated its national or other person within its jurisdiction in connection with criminal act that may constitute crimes referred to in Article 5 and which relates to the information provided in the notification to the state. At the request of the state, the public prosecutor shall suspend the state investigation against such person unless the pretrial chamber, at the request of the public prosecutor, decided to authorize the investigation. When a situation has been referred to the court under Article 13 and the prosecutor has determined that there would be reasonable grounds for initiating an investigation, or the prosecutor initiates an investigation under Article 13C and 50, the prosecutor shall notify all status parties and host status which, taking into account the information available, would normally exercise jurisdiction over the crimes concerned. The prosecutor may inform such status in according confidentiality, and if the prosecutor believes that it is necessary to protect person, prevent the destruction of evidence, or prevent the flight of person, may limit the scope of information provided to states. The allegation by states of Israel of violation of the sovereign rights and interests of states is inappropriate and not essential to the proper resolution of the appeal. I say because it is not appropriate to assume that the exercise of jurisdiction over one or more person violates of sovereignty of the states of which they are national. Article 21 provides that 1. The court shall apply in the first place the statute, the element of crimes and its rules of procedure and evidence. B. Secondly, where appropriate applicable treaties and the principle and rules of international law, including established principle of the international law of armed conflict. C. Other with general principle of law derived by the court from the national law of the international legal system, including, where appropriate, the national law of states that for normally exercise jurisdiction over the crimes, provided that such principles are not inconsistent with this statute and with international law and internationally recognized norms and standards. Dismissed Israel's status as a state not party to the statute. Israel submitted an Article 18(1) application before the pretrial chamber without prejudice to its status as a state not party to the statute. To Israel will no position regarding to court lack of jurisdiction over the so-called situation in Palestine, as well as its right under the Rome Statute to bring jurisdictional and or admissibility challenge before the court. Israel therefore sought an order from the pretrial chamber requiring the prosecutor pursuant to Article 18(1) of the Statute of the International Criminal Court to notify Israel of any investigation it is conducting or intend to conduct into the event in and around Gaza from 7 October 2023 onward, in its review in line with the principle of complementarity. Proper notification under Article 18(1) would allow Israel to exercise its right to assert its primary jurisdiction and would facilitate its ability to respond to the prosecutor pursuant to Article 18(2). 1. December 12, 2024, the Pretrial Chamber issued decision postponing its consideration of Israel request to appeal under Article 18.2(1)(d) of the statute until the appeal chamber decided that Israel appeal is admissible pursuant to Article 18.2(1)(a) of the statute. The statute concerned or the public prosecutor may appeal to the appeal chamber against a decision of the pretrial chamber pursuant to Article 18.2. Such appeal may be heard expeditiously. Therefore, Israel expressly appealed to the pretrial chamber under Article 18 of the statute with a view, though, to obtaining a new or revised notification from the prosecutor under Article 18.1 of the statute, so as to invoke Article 18.2 of the statute. Israel thereby specifically sought to exercise the right established under Article 18 of the statute for the purpose of complementarity. The pretrial chamber expressly decided Israel application to order the prosecutor to provide a new notification under Article 18.1 of the statute, and in the operative part directly rejected it by reference to the same provision. This means that the combined decision is indisputably based on Article 18 of the statute and clearly previous decision on admissibility. I am therefore of the view that the conclusion reflects in paragraph 33 and 34 of the majority decision do not stand up to scrutiny, and that the appeal is admissible on 13 December 2024. Israel filed an appeal against the combined decision hereinafter. The appeal brief on 18 December 2024, the registrar communicated to the appeal chamber an application received from the European Center of Law and Justice for permission to submit an amicus curiae response pursuant to Rule 103(1) of the rule hereinafter. The ECLG application, and on 2022 January 2025, the prosecutor responded to Israel application for leave to reply, stating that the application should be dismissed. In the combined decision, the pretrial chamber dismissed Israel's argument that acceptance of the court jurisdiction is required under Article 12 of the statute, even if another state has delegate jurisdiction as not legal correct. The pretrial chamber noted that the court may exercise its jurisdiction on the basis of the territorial jurisdiction of Palestine. It underlined that once there is a single basis for jurisdiction under Article 12(2)(a) or (b) of the statute, there is no need for an additional basis for jurisdiction, considering that the combined decision does not contain any reasoning on the above mentioned rules and principles. I do not believe it is necessary to address Israel's grounds of appeal on the merits. The decision will fully consider the legal consequences arising from the interaction between the court and Israel as a state not party to the statute from the perspective of public international law and the legitimacy timing of interaction between the state and the court. The outcome of the decision in question will be influenced by the determination by the pre-trial chamber of the legal basis for Israel legal position and the application of the obligation and consequences arising from the statute, as well as the moment when TC can be legitimately and lawful analyzed. This is a necessary step to maintain fairness in the judicial process and demonstrate the legitimacy and universal character of the ICC. In this regard, it is particularly relevant for the pre-trial chamber to determine the precise moment at which the time limit under Article 18(2) of the statute begins to apply to states not party to the statute that decide to interact with the court. The pre-trial chamber indicates that the issue before the chamber is whether Israel was entitled or indeed obliged to raise such a challenge before the chamber had decided on the prosecutor application for an arrest warrant. On this point, the pre-trial chamber ruled that states are not entitled under the statute to challenge to court jurisdiction under Article 19 before the issuance of an arrest warrant or summons. The pre-trial chamber noted that the prosecutor usually conduct the entire application process under Article 58 of the statute unilaterally, and therefore states only become aware of the process after the court has decided on the application. When the summons or warrant is notified or published, it further noted that the wording of Article 19(2)(b) of the statute makes it clear that states may only challenge the court jurisdiction in relation to a particular case. The pre-trial chamber further rejected Israel's argument that simply because it claimed the Palestine cannot delegate jurisdiction to the court, the chamber must ignore its previous decision made under a different composition, which have become res judicata. The chamber stressed the fundamental difference between granting legal standing to a state on the basis of a presumptive validity of its claim to have jurisdiction over a situation or case, and granting legal standing on the basis of an argument already decided that a particular state party does not have jurisdiction. The pre-trial chamber further rejected Israel's argument that simply because it claims the Palestine cannot delegate jurisdiction to the court, the chamber must ignore its previous decision made under a different composition, which have become res judicata. Israel further argued that despite the fact that the challenge discussion focuses on Israel's standing to bring a jurisdictional challenge, this did not diminish in character as a jurisdictional decision. Yet Israel's submission a decision prohibiting Israel from bringing a jurisdictional challenge under Article 19(2)(c) of the statute could only be considered a decision on jurisdiction. Israel argued that this was particularly clear given that the pre-trial chamber relied on and based its refusal on a previous decision that it considered to be res judicata, that is, a decision containing a substantive determination on the issue of jurisdiction. Israel submitted that any other interpretation would render the automatic right to appeal under Article 18(2)(1) of the statute meaningless, since the chamber could simply have relied on a previous jurisdictional decision made ex parte to reject the challenge, leaving no procedural recourse for the challenge party. Article 18(2)(1) of the statute provides that a party may appeal against a decision with regard to jurisdiction or admissibility. The appellate chamber understands from the phrase a decision with regard to that the operative part of the decision itself must relate directly to the question of the jurisdiction of the court or the admissibility of a case. It is not enough for there to be an indirect or tangential connection between the underlying decision and the question of jurisdiction or admissibility. As previously stated by the appellate chamber, a decision of the pretrial chamber or the court may constitute a decision with regard to admissibility only to the extent that it consists of or is based on a decision that a case is admissible or inadmissible. And French version of Article 18 to 1a of the statute confirms this interpretation by stating that a party may only appeal against decision sur la compétence ou la recevability. The prosecutor requests that Israel appeal be dismissed in limine on the grounds that it did not comply with the provisions of Article 18 to 1 of the statute. The prosecutor argued that the complainant decision was not a decision with regard to jurisdiction and therefore could not be appealed directly under Article 18 to 1 of the statute. The appellate chamber reading of the plain meaning of Article 18 to 1 of the statute was also confirmed by its relationship to other provisions of the statute. Article 18 to 1 of the statute must be read in conjunction with Article 18 and 19 of the statute. Article 18(4) of the statute provides that the state concerned or the prosecutor may appeal to the appellate chamber against a preliminary decision of the pretrial chamber on admissibility pursuant to Article 18(2) of the statute. Article 19 of the statute provides the court may decide on admissibility of a case either on its own initiative at the request of the prosecutor or in response to a challenge brought by certain person or status. The prosecutor further submits that the pretrial chamber in effect identified the issue before it had decided on the prosecutor application for an arrest warrant. The prosecutor argues that by answering this question in the negative, the pretrial chamber dismissed Israel's challenge as premature, which did not constitute a decision on jurisdiction. The prosecutor further underlined that the operative part of the question decision does not determine any jurisdictional aspect, and that it is rather procedural, as it applies procedural law regarding jurisdictional challenge and does not determine jurisdiction itself. Article 19(6) of the statute provides that decision on jurisdiction on or admissibility of a case may be appealed to appellate chamber in accordance with Article 18(2). In the view of the appellate chamber, the specific reference to Article 18(2) of the statute and the use of identical language in Article 19(6) and 18(2) 1 of the statute indicates that the right to appeal against decision on jurisdiction or admissibility of a case is intended to be limited only to cases in which pre-trial chamber or the trial chamber issues a specific ruling on the jurisdiction of the court or acceptance of the case. The appellate chamber had also previously ruled in relation to April under Article 18(2)(b) of the statute that the effect or implication of a decision confirming or rejecting that accusation does not alter or change the character of the decision. The Appeal Chamber found that the same logic applies to appeal under Article 18(2)(1)(a) of the statute. It is the nature and not the ultimate effect or implication of a decision that determines whether an appeal falls within Article 18(2)(1)(a) of the statute, even if the ultimate effect of a decision of the pretrial chamber or the tribunal affect the admissibility of the case. That fact or not in itself make the decision and decision with regard to admissibility under Article 18(2)(1)(a). Israel's interaction with the ICC is based on Article 18 of the statute, which is available to both status parties and status not parties to the statute. This is evident from the prosecutor obligation under subparagraph 1 of this provision to notify all status parties and status which taking into account the information available for normally exercise jurisdiction over the crimes concerned. Furthermore, Article 18(2) of the statute refer generally to a statute without specifying any limitation of status parties. Nevertheless, as mentioned above, the proceedings were initiated on the basis of Israel's request under Article 18(1)(2) to the prosecutor concrete refusal to issue a new notification under Article 18(1) of the statute on the grounds inter alia of Israel lack of legal standing. In this regard, it is of great relevancy for the pretrial chamber to determine the precise moment at which the time limit under Article 18(2) of the statute begin to apply to status not parties to the statute that decided to interact with court. Israel seek leave to repeat in relation to the application of Article 31 and 32 of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties hereinafter VCLT to the interpretation of Article 19(2)(c) of the statute and the pretrial chamber finding on res judicata and the interpretation of the challenge decision. Israel argues that neither of these issues could have been reasonable anticipation and that a reply is therefore required for the appeal chamber decision on the appeal. In this appeal, Israel alleges error of law and error of fact. In this circumstance, the pretrial chamber is obligated to consider, in accordance with Article 21(1)(b) of the statute, how the principle of pacta tertiis nec nocent nec prosumpte applies in relation to the relationship between Israel as a state not party to the statute and the court as an international organization and Israel's procedural position and standing in the context of the Article 18(1) application. As part of this analysis, the pretrial chamber may also invoke Article 36 VCLT, which deals with the rights granted to third states by treaties, as well as other applicable norms of public international law, if the relevant chamber has committed such an error. The appeal chamber will only intervene if the error materially affected the decision at issue in the appeal. A decision is materially affected by an error of law if the chamber would have rendered a decision substantially different from the decision affected by the error, had it not committed that error. With regard to error of law, the Appeal Chamber has previously ruled that it will not be subject to the relevant chamber's interpretation of the applicable law, but will reach its own conclusion as to the appropriacy law and determine whether or not the first instance the chamber has misinterpreted the law. In any alleged error, the applicant is required to state the alleged error in the appeal brief and so, with sufficient precision, how the alleged error would have a material effect on the decision in question. With regard to error of fact, as alleged by Israel, the appellate chamber will determine whether the chamber finding of fact are reasonable in the particular circumstances of the case. The appellate chamber will not change the chamber finding of fact entirely because they would lead to a different conclusion when considering an alleged error of fact. The appellate chamber will make such allowances as it deems necessary and consistent with the chamber finding of fact. However, the appellate chamber may interfere if it cannot objectively see how the chamber conclusion could have been reasonable received from the evidence or record. Israel argues the proper remedy is to reverse the complainant decision and issue an order stating that Israel has legal standing to challenge the court jurisdiction under Article 19 to C, including before the issuance of the arrest warrant. Israel challenge to jurisdiction should be returned to the pretrial chamber for consideration on its substance and to arrest warrant against Israel citizens, which were erroneously issued by the pretrial chamber should be declaration null and void. Israel further argues that the error in the challenge decision is reflected in the following three grounds of appeal. 1. The pretrial chamber erred in law when it held that Israel did not have standing to bring a jurisdictional challenge under Article 19 to C because Israel was not a state requiring acceptance of jurisdiction under Article 12, first ground of appeal. 2. The pretrial chamber erred in fact and law when it rejected Israel's standing under Article 19 and the basis that to find otherwise would have disregarded its early decision under Article 19.3, which had become res judicata, second grounds of appeal. And 3. The pretrial chamber erred in determining that Israel's filing of a jurisdictional challenge under Article 19 was premature because it was filed before the issuance of the arrest warrant, third grounds of appeal. Israel argues that the pretrial chamber dismissed the jurisdictional challenge on procedural grounds without any substantive examination of Israel's serious objection to the court's lack of jurisdiction in the circumstances. Furthermore, it noticed that the issuance of the complainant decision on the same day as the arrest warrant deprived Israel of the opportunity to appeal before the warrant was issued. According to Israel, the refusal to consider its substance is particularly egregious because the pretrial chamber made a unilateral determination as required by Article 19.1 of the statute that it had jurisdiction to issue the warrant. As part of a first ground of appeal, Israel argued that rather than addressing the issue of legal standing substantively under Article 19 to C, the pretrial chamber based its reason for rejecting Israel's legal standing to raise a jurisdictional claim under Article 19 to see on its observation that on C there is a single jurisdictional basis under Article 12V, 2A or B of the statute, no additional jurisdiction basis is required. The appeal chamber understood that based on this part of its first ground of appeal, Israel was essentially arguing that the pretrial chamber had erred in law by failing to adequately address Israel's argument that Israel had legal standing to raise a jurisdictional claim under Article 19(2)(c) of the statute. The appeal chamber observed that other than concluding that once there is a single basis of jurisdiction under Article 12V, 2A or B of statute, no additional basis is required. The pretrial chamber did not elaborate further on how the existence of a basis for the exercise of the court jurisdiction under Article 12V to relate to Israel's main argument that it has standing to challenge the court jurisdiction under Article 19(2)(c) of the statute. While there is a correlation between these provisions, they deal in principle with different matters, namely the prerequisites for the exercise of the court jurisdiction under Article 12V, 2 of the statute, and one of the mechanisms for challenge the admissibility of a case of the court jurisdiction, Article 19(2)(c) of the statute. Moreover, since Israel's main contention is that Article 19(2)(c) of the statute permits it to challenge the court jurisdiction, it is incumbent on the pretrial chamber to specifically address it. 5. On its review, Israel is barred from raising such a challenge under Article 12V, 2 of the statute. As part of the first ground of its first ground of appeal, Israel argued rather than addressing the issue of legal standing substantively under Article 19(2)(c), the pretrial chamber based its reason for rejecting Israel's legal standing to raise a jurisdictional claim under Article 19(2)(c) on its observation that once there is a single jurisdictional basis under Article 12V, 2A or B of the statute, no additional jurisdiction basis is required. The appeal chamber understood that basis on this part of its first ground of appeal, Israel was essentially arguing that the pretrial chamber had erred in law by failing to adequately address Israel's argument that Israel had legal standing to raise a jurisdictional claim under Article 19(2)(c) of the statute. The appeal chamber observed that other than concluding that once there is a single basis for jurisdiction under Article 12V, 2A or B of the statute, in light of the above, the appeal chamber is of the opinion that taken as a whole, that complainant litigation does not sufficiently address Israel's principal argument that Article 19(2)(c) of the statute permits it to challenge the court jurisdiction. The pretrial chamber therefore erred in law by failing to sufficiently address it by relevant submission made to it in relation to the particular legal basis on which the challenge to the court jurisdiction rested. The pretrial chamber then found that Israel has legal standing under Article 19(2)(b) in conjunction with Article 12(2)(b) of the statute if the chamber decided to issue an arrest warrant for an Israeli citizen, even though a state is not entitled under the statute to challenge the court jurisdiction under Article 19 prior to the issuance of an arrest warrant or summons. However, the pretrial chamber failed to properly consider the merits of Israel's challenge under Article 19 to be of the statute. The provision it argued should have been applied by Israel. The pretrial chamber also failed to explain why it changed the legal basis in Article 19 to be of the statute despite the fact that Israel's submission specifically focused on Article 19 to C of the statute. In doing so, we are noting Israel's overall submission regarding Article 19 to C of the statute. The pretrial chamber failed to specifically address Israel's submission relating to its particular legal basis. In particular, the pretrial chamber failed to address Israel's contention regarding the scope of Article 19 to C of the statute. The Appellate Chamber noted that Israel sought the suspension of the two arrest warrants issued by the pretrial chamber following the challenge decision and any alleged exercise of jurisdiction by the court. The Appellate Chamber noted that it had previously indicated that granting the suspension would have the effect of suspending any action based on the challenge decision. In the present case, that Appellate Chamber was not satisfied that the arrest warrant were based on or closely connected to the challenge decision. Consequently, where the challenge decision was based on the pretrial chamber's assessment of specifically aspect of the jurisdictional challenge raised by Israel, the chamber did not address the challenge as a whole. Therefore, it cannot be said that the arrest warrant were based on the challenge decision. DC warrants are issued separately by the pretrial chamber and as such were not referred to the Appellate Chamber in any event. The Appellate Chamber decision in this appeal was to quash the challenge decision and remand to matter to pretrial chamber to decide anew on the substance of the jurisdictional challenge. In that context, the pretrial chamber must also determine the effect, if any, of its decision on the arrest warrant, which was issued separately from the challenge decision. In these circumstances, the Appellate Chamber rejected the request for a stay of effect as irrelevant. The Appellate Chamber decided that based on the foregoing, the issues at hand has been resolved conclusively. Therefore, the Appellate Chamber does not deem it necessary to address the remainder of Israel's first ground of appeal or any other grounds of appeal. In an appeal under Article 18(2) of the statute, the Appellate Chamber may confirm, annul, or modify the appeal decision. The Appellate Chamber observed that in the challenge decision, the pretrial chamber considered that Israel would have full opportunity to challenge the jurisdiction of the court and or the admissibility of a particular case if and when the chamber issues an arrest warrant or summons against its national. The Appellate Chamber therefore held that based on the foregoing consideration, the most appropriate course of action would be to reverse the challenge decision and remit the matter to the pretrial chamber to decide on the substance of the jurisdictional challenge. The Appellate Chamber noted that it would be for the pretrial chamber to determine the applicable legal basis under Article 19(2) of the statute to deal with Israel jurisdictional challenge at the current stage of the proceeding and to provide any further necessary instruction on the procedure to be followed. In addition, the pretrial chamber subsequently issued two arrest warrants against Israel national. The Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court also stated that none of the error identified by Israel, even if proven erroneous by the pretrial chamber, materially affected the challenge decision, and the appeal should be dismissed. Regarding Israel first and second grounds of appeal, the prosecutor stated that the relevant finding of the prosecutor or the pretrial chamber were no more than obiter dictum, not ratio decidendi of the challenge decision. I note of the view that Israel allegation of violation of the sovereign right and interest of the state is improper and immaterial to the proper resolution of the appeal, since it's improper to assume that the exercise of jurisdiction over one or more person violates the sovereignty of the state of which they are national. I further argued that this view would improperly permit non-party states to veto the sovereign prerogative of states parties to accept the jurisdiction of the court in their own territory and the application of their own national law, even over foreign national, unless they benefit from special immunities based on the mutual consent of the states concerned. Furthermore, I acting as the prosecutor concluded that although strictly obiter dicta and not determinative of the outcome of the challenge decision, and the pretrial chamber also correctly concluded that 1. Its provisional decision on the exercise of jurisdiction of the court is res judicata, at least for the purpose of proceeding under Article 58, and 2. Israel has no legal standing to challenge jurisdiction under Article 19(2)(c) of the statute. I decided unanimously that the appeal should be dismissed for failing to show any error that materially affected the pretrial chamber decision that the Israel jurisdictional challenge was premature. I further heard that nothing in the challenge decision deprives a person or legal entity of the right under Article 19(2) of the statute to bring a challenge now that cases in this situation have been identified. This prosecutor argues that the appeal primarily concerns technical matters under Article 19(2) of the statute. I further submit that none of the error identified by Israel, even if proven erroneous by the pretrial chamber, materially affected the decision in question, and the appeal must be dismissed with due respect. Furthermore, regarding Israel first and second ground of appeal, I reiterate that the relevant findings of the pretrial chamber are no more than obiter dictum and not ratio decidendi of the decision in question. So, the contentious essence of the decision at issue underlines the content of Israel's submission that the appeal should be dismissed because it does not show any error that materially affected the pretrial chamber decision that the challenge to Israel jurisdiction was premature. I further hold that nothing in the decision at issue deprives a person or entity of the right under Article 19(2) to bring a challenge now that cases in this situation have been identified, and I conclude against that although strictly obiter dicta and nothing determining the outcome of the decision it issue, the pretrial chamber also correctly concluded that 1. The previous decision on the exercise of the court jurisdiction was res judicata, at least for the purposes of proceeding under Article 58 of the Rome Statute, and 2. Israel has no legal standing to challenge jurisdiction under Article 18(2)(c) of the Rome Statute. The prosecutor argued that even if the panel erred in this conclusion, the error did not materially affect the decision to issue the arrest of Warren. I thank you.